So in today's class, we are going to see about the environmental setup for data science. Okay. So what are the things we needed to work on the data science project? So we are going to do that in this class. So as usual, you must have a laptop or desktop with minimum of 4 GB RAM. Okay. So the tools needed for the data science project. First one is Python. Next, you need Anaconda. Next, you have to know about the Git Bash and GitHub. Next, you need to install some relevant libraries to work on data science. As for Python, you have to install Python, go to this link and download the Python there. I think it's better if I show you what to do. So go to Google, there, go to python.org. Okay, once you go there, go to downloads. Downloads, drag there, and you can find the looking for specific release. You don't need to download the latest version. Download the 3.7 or 3.8 version. Okay, so you can see here, download that. So let me show you. Download the 3.7 version. Okay, so here download some version whichever you need it. Okay, so don't download the 3.10 version, download the 3.7 or 3.8 version. So when you are downloading, you will be adding path to a system. Okay, it will show you whether you want to add a path to your system or not. Just check that. Okay, so that you can work on Python even in your command shell. Okay. So next you have to download the Anaconda Navigator. As for the Anaconda Navigator, download the individual version. Go to this link and download the Anaconda Navigator. It is a software. It is a GUI application. You can work on its the desktop. In the Anaconda Navigator, you can find Spider, VS Code, RStudio, Jupyter. All Python distributions and R distributions will be available in your Anaconda Navigator. And it has a special package managers to install some external libraries and all. You can use that package managers. Those are pip, pip, and Conda, CONDA, Conda. Using these two package managers, you can download any libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, any other libraries you want to work with data science. You can download these two using the pip and Conda. Okay. And your Conda will be only working on the Anaconda PowerShell. Okay. So if you want to download some packages using your command prompt, okay, you have to use pip. Your Conda command will only be working on the Anaconda PowerShell. Okay. Then virtual environment. So you can see that if you are in the future, if you're going to work with a very big project, right? So you're going to work with very big project. So if you don't want to have any clash in your project, your external system or your packages in your system should not interfere in your project. It should not have any impact on your project. In that case, you have to use the virtual environment. What it will do is it will create a separate environment for your project. So I mostly suggest you to use a virtual environment for each and every new project so that it will not have any clash with the other packages and Python and all. Okay. So for example, now I have shown you the download 3.7 version. Okay. So in your company, they are asking you to work on Python 3.8 version or Python 3.10 version. Okay. So at that time, you don't need to uninstall the previous version and install the new version. What you can do is you can create a virtual environment, and inside the virtual environment, you can download all the packages. Okay. So let me show you how to do that. Go for Anaconda PowerShell. Okay. After you have downloaded Anaconda Navigator, your Anaconda PowerShell will be available in your system. So go there. Your PowerShell will open. So when your PowerShell has opened, whatever commands you can work on in your command prompt, you can do the same in your PowerShell. Okay. So here I'm going to D colon. There I'm going to create some directory. Okay. So you can use make directory. Data science project. So I'm going to create a directory like this. So I have created that. Let's use ls command. So you can see what are the directories is in my D code. Okay. So I'm going to work on the data science project directory. So to do that, cd space data science hyphen project. So it will change our directory to the data science project directory. So here in this directory, I'm going to create my virtual environment. Okay. So for that, conda create -n. So if you're going to use single letter, you can use -n. Okay. So if you're going to use the full word like name, in that case, you have to use double times hyphen name. Okay. So -n. So your virtual environment name. Data science virtual. Okay. When you click enter, so when you click enter, it will collect all the metadata. Okay, it will create the data science virtual environment. It will ask you whether you want to proceed. Press Y and press enter. So it has done everything. Afterwards, to activate this virtual environment, we have created the virtual environment. So to activate this virtual environment, type conda activate data science virtual. Okay, press enter. So it will activate your virtual environment. So you can see here, data science virtual. The base has been changed into data science virtual. So it has activated your virtual environment. So to deactivate that, what you have to do is conda deactivate. Press enter. So it has deactivated your virtual environment. Okay. So these are the things we can done with the virtual environment. So inside the virtual environment, we can install our packages also. Okay, let me activate it again once. So here I can install my packages. Conda install Jupyter. You can open the Jupyter using Anaconda Navigator, or if you want to work on this specific virtual environment, you have to install the new Jupyter. So I'm using conda install Jupyter. When I press enter, it will collect all the data.
Excuse me, ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah.
Ma'am, can we create the virtual environment through any other shell? or it will only be
if you are
made
going to use the Conda environment, you can use I have only use the Anaconda PowerShell. But if you are going to use the virtual environment using Python related things like using pip and using Python, you can even create a virtual environment. At the time, you can use your command prompt or any other shell. But if you're going to use the Conda, you have to use the Anaconda PowerShell.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, the Conda command will not work in your normal command line shells.
Okay.
So press Y, and then it will download and extract all the packages, and Jupyter will be downloaded in the virtual environment. So likewise, you can even install other packages like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, whatever packages you needed for the project, you can install in the virtual environment. Even if you have installed in your system, you need to specifically install in your virtual environment. Okay, each and every time you create a new environment, you have to download these things. Are you able to understand till this? Any other doubts?
No, ma'am. It's clear.
Okay. So,
Vandana, you have any question?
No, sir.
Oh,
Just listen.
you have the idea, right? How command prompt, what is command prompt or what is shell, PowerShell? Have you ever seen this
Yeah,
screen?
I have idea about command prompt.
Yeah, this is the same thing. It's just like it is
Yeah.
through Anaconda. And then for if you're going to use Git, you can use it from Git Bash. They have something called as Bash. If you have Apple products, it's like Bash. Okay, they have so every system has the thing similar to a command prompt. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. So let it download. We can move on to another thing. So next we are moving on to the Git and GitHub. So fine. So you're working on a project. Okay. For example, let's take a WhatsApp group project. They have introduced a group call also. Okay. So before that, we can only chat in the WhatsApp group, right? So you're working on the WhatsApp group project. You're creating all the all related files and all. Suddenly you think that we don't need a group call. I want the previous version. How can we do that? Any ideas?
By checking the version?
Yeah, how can we check the version? You don't know Git, you don't know GitHub. Okay. So you are creating the first version. If you're moving on to the second version, again you have to save it as a version 2, version 1, version 2, and version 3. Likewise, you have to create a multiple number of files in your system if you are not using any Git or GitHub, right? So in version 1, you are having group chat. In version 2, you are having group call. In version 3, you are having group video call. Okay. But you are feeling that you don't need this version. You want to move on to the newer version. You want to move on to the newer version. Okay. So if you're not using any version control system, we can say that Git and GitHub are the version control system. If you're not using that, what will happen is in your system, you have to create a specific files each and every time for the newer version of your software. You have to create a specific files, right? So even if you don't want this, you have to use this, but it will consume more space and it will not allow you to work with your peers. Okay. So in your system only you are working. If you want to collaborate with others, you cannot do that. There, in that situation, our version control system comes here. Okay. So it allows you to keep track of the code changes, and it will tell you whoever made changes to the code. Okay. So you can work with your friends, you can work with your colleagues. The 10 members are working in a project, all are making some changes, all are making some updating and all. So if you're working in your only system, you cannot know who are making any changes. So even if they make changes, means you have to get it from their system, right? But with the help of Git and GitHub, you can easily make use of those things. You can easily track of the code. You can easily track who made the changes. It allows you to code with the people. Okay, it allows you to collaboration. And if you want to go to the previous version also, it allows you to do that. Okay, so let's see how to work on Git and GitHub. Go to Google. Download Git. So you can type git install. There you can find download Git. So according to your platform, you can download it. So I'm clicking Windows here. Go for 64-bit or 32-bit according to your platform. Okay. After downloading it, open. Click yes. So click next. Next. So here, when you come to this part, choose the default editor. By default in your system, it will be like some VM editor or something. Okay, Vim. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to change it into the Visual Studio. Okay. So you cannot work with Vim, but Visual Studio you can work with any programming languages. Even you can use the Git in the Visual Studio terminal. Okay. So change this thing into Visual Studio Code. Okay. Then click next. Next. Everything will be the default one. Okay. Don't change anything. Just click on next, next, next. At last, so the final one, just install everything. Okay. So this is how you have to download the Git. After downloading the Git, open the Git bash. Okay. You can open the Git bash. Okay. So I have canceled that, so it doesn't open here. So you can open the Git bash in your system.
So Git bash will look exactly like your PowerShell.
Yeah.
And the command prompt. Okay, when you are using Git bash.
So your git bash will install here. You will find git GUI and git bash after installing the git. So after installing the git, install the Visual Studio Code in your system. Okay. Visual Studio Code in your system. So go to this link. There, if you want to download for Windows, you can download for Windows. If for Macs, you can download for Mac. If it is for Linux, you can download for Linux. Okay. So just download the Visual Studio Code. Afterwards, you can download some extensions which are needed for work in the Visual Studio Code. Okay. This is how our git bash will look like. If you want to check whether our git has properly installed or not, type git --version. It will show you the version of your git. Now we have successfully installed the git. So we are going to configure our git. Okay, for the git config --, global user dot name space. Okay, here inside the quotation you have to use your username. Okay, you are going to give username and email to your git configuration. Okay, so that whenever we are going to work with the git and GitHub, you can easily push our local repository into our remote repository. So use the username and email whichever you are going to use in the GitHub. Okay, so next, so to confirm it, git config --, global user dot name. Press enter, it will show you your username. After setting the username, we are going to provide the email. The same thing, git git config --, global user dot email. Okay, in the quotation, give your email ID. Okay, end of the quotation. To check that. Okay, even if you want to change your username or if you want to change your mail ID, you can do the same configuration. It will change your username and mail ID. Okay, are you able to understand till now? Do you have any doubts?
So can we have multiple username or email ID configured with multiple Git IDs?
If you want to use multiple GitHub account, you can create your own multiple username and user email, but you need a specific user email for each and every account. You cannot use
Okay.
the same thing for each and everything. But if you are using multiple emails, you can create a multiple user.
So you just need to create a multiple user, and whenever you want to use that particular username, right, you'll have to get into that username and then continue your push and
Yeah.
pull.
The thing is that you can create a username and email for the specific repository, but at the time you cannot use this global keyword. If you are using global keyword, it will use for every repository in your system. So if you are going to create a specific repository with a specific username and specific email, you have to avoid the global keyword so that you can create a specific username and email for each and every repository as you wish.
Okay.
Any other doubts?
No.
Okay. So next we are going to create our empty repository. Okay. So I'm moving on to the cd space d:/ls. Here we have already created a data science project, right? So we are moving on to that thing, cd space data science hyphen project. So it will move here. So what we are going to do is we are going to convert this folder into our Git repository. Okay, so we are going to make this folder into our Git local repository. So to do that, what you have to do is you have to use the command git init. Okay, so it will create one hidden file in your folder .git. What it will do is it will track all the files in that folder. Okay, if you're going to use some HTML or CSS or images, you're going to store these things in that folder. It will make track of all these things in that folder. Okay, so are you able to understand till this?
Ma'am, what is meant by repository?
The repository is where you are going to store all your code. You're going to work on some project or you're going to work on some code. You want to store it in something so that you can view it from anywhere.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going
Something
to store
like
all the.
container.
Sorry.
Is it something like container?
Yeah, you can say it is something like container. So what it will do is it will create your files. It will make track of your files. So what you can do is you can easily push it to your GitHub or GitLab. Likewise, you are having many remote repository websites. There you can move all your projects so that you can work collaboratively with others.
Okay.
Let me tell you. Go to GitHub. Okay. So here you can see this we are going to walk in this website. So if you click here, it will create a new repository. What it will do is it will store all our project files. For example, here I'm having one file. So it is having some 4 images and index HTML. Okay. So this thing has been stored in my system. What I did is I have pushed those things into my repository. Okay. So your project thing, what are the files you needed for the project? You can store everything here. Okay. You can say this is one repository.
Kind of a database, ma'am.
Yeah, kind of a database to store our files and all.
Okay.
Okay. So that what will happen is everyone can easily collaborate with others. by using pull request, you will see those things in the future coding. Okay, when you are working on Git, you'll see those advanced tutorials. Today we are going to use some basic things, so I have it included that. Okay, so tomorrow and next classes, whenever we are having, you will see those things, how to work on this repository, how to push our data here and all, everything will be discussed later. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So we have created a empty repository. Okay. So if you open our file manager, if I go to D:, data science project, okay, this is our empty repository. What we are going to do is we are going to do some work in this repository. Okay, so just for example, I'm going to include some HTML file here. Let me open VS Code. So after opening the VS Code, go to File, go to Open Folder. There, local disk D:, data science project. Open this folder. So inside the folder, so folder has been opened. So inside the folder, we are going to create a new file. So click New File. Name that file as index.html. Press enter. So it will open our HTML file. Okay. So the HTML file has been opened. If you press exclamatory sign and press enter, this default HTML tags will be opened. Okay, inside the body tag, I'm simply giving h1 hello world. Okay, I'm simply giving h1 hello world. Then save this file. So our file has been saved and it is in our folder. Okay. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to use a command git status. So what it says is we have one file. Untracked files are here. We have one file there, but we haven't added that file in our repository. Okay. We are having one file, but we haven't added that file in our repository. So after that, what we are going to do is we are going to add that file. So for that, git add index.html. Okay, again once check the status. So what it says is we have added that file, which means that this file has been started track. Our Git will start tracking that file. Okay, so we have to commit that file to pull it in our repository. Okay, so for that, git commit -m, in the quotation you have to give the message. Okay, so for example, first version, then press enter. So that file will be added in our Git repository. Okay, so here you cannot see any changes here. Cannot see any changes here. Sorry, but when you are going to use this in your GitHub, you will find the changes. Okay, so let me show you how to work on with GitHub. Create a folder. Okay, sorry, create a new repository. Give the repository name like first repo. Okay, then make it public or private as you wish. Then create repository.
1 second. Can you go back, Bhuvneshwari, on this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So remember that if you are going to make it public, public is usually the paid versions. Okay, so if you want to create that, now when you make it public, like anybody can view it. One more reason for making it public is like when you're creating a project, and this project needs to be showcased to people. So what you'll do is like if it is public, people can just search and get your project, see your project, how you worked, what you have done. Private, when you do it, like there would be only specific people who would be there, and in the same space you would be using. Okay, you got it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So coming to so it's better to add README files, and below, can you scroll down? Yeah, it's better to add the README file and ignore. It will give you people will be able to, when you talk about README, people will be able to add in, see your entire project as the overview, on the README file. They don't have to get into all your Python libraries that you have imported or files that you have added. They don't have to go. This can be like overview of what you have done with your project, the README files. And same way for git ignore, there are certain this is to that git ignore is used to avoid certain errors. So there will be errors that will be thrown at you, but like git is going to scan through everything, right? So it will start throwing errors for sometimes when it is not needed. Git ignore file actually restricts those places where you don't you tell git that, okay, don't worry about this particular codes, ignore this and move ahead. Okay.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Yes. Yeah, Bhuvneshwari, you can continue.
Okay. So create your repo. Okay. Then create repository. So you'll find this link here. Okay, this is your GitHub repository link. So what I want to do is I want to move these files into my GitHub. Okay, so in GitHub you have to create your account using the same username and the same email ID which we have used in the Git configuration. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this file into my GitHub repository. To do that, what you have to do is you have to copy this link, or else if you scroll down, you can see that push an existing repository from the command line. Okay, just copy the first line. Okay, copy the first line. The first line, what it will do is it will say where to push our local repository. Okay, so I'm going to push the repository, my local repository, into my GitHub, but where to put? For that only we are using this git remote add origin. Okay, here use git remote add origin. We are going to paste this here, then press enter. Okay, then after pasting that, after doing that, again go there. So here you can see git push -u origin main. Okay, so again copy this and paste it here. Press enter. Okay. Okay, so if it says main does not match any, you change the main into master. Okay, so what it will do is this thing might have been pushed our files in. So just refresh this. Here you can see our index.html file. See, the thing we have done is shown here. Okay, so this is how you have to push your repository from your local system to the remote system. So what will happen is you are collaborating with some of your peers. What they will do is they will download this file, or they will use the pull request to download this file. Okay, so that we can collaboratively doing that. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to use a branch, git branch. I'm having the main file here. Okay, so I'm having index.html. Just remember, this is my main version. Okay, I don't want to change anything here. But what I want to do is I want to do some testing on this file. What if I do some changes on that file? What will happen and all? I want to check that if that works, I can merge those changes into my index file. If I don't want that, I can simply delete that file. Okay, are you able to understand what I'm saying?
Like you will do the change in the index file from here only, right?
Yeah. So this is my main file. Other than hello world, I don't want anything in my index file, but I want to do some changes, but that changes should not affect this file. Okay. So that changes should not affect this file. It should be the same as before. Okay. But if that changes works well, if the changes works well, I can merge those with my main version. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a branch for that. We are going to create a branch for that. What my branch will do is my branch will create or copy the same file as my master branch. So here, the thing which we are currently working on is called the master branch. Other than master branch, I can create a new branches. Okay, that new branches, what will do is it will have the same file as the master branch, but I can do some changes to that file. Okay, so
Like a temporary file, ma'am.
yeah, like a temporary file. If that file works, if that have made some changes but it works well, I can merge that with my current master one. Okay, so to create a branch file, git branch, git branch and branch name. Okay, so you can give whatever name you have used. So you can use the git branch name. So I'm using branch name. So it will create our new branch. To check what are the branches we have created in our file, use git branch. It will show you the branches we have created. Branch name is the new branch we have created, and already existing one is master one. The star here shows that we are currently working on our master branch. Okay, so we are currently working on our master branch. This is what our star shows here. Okay, so if you want to move from master branch to our new branch or vice versa, you can use git checkout our branch name. Okay, so now you can see it has changed from branch to master. You can do the same thing to change from branch to master. Okay, now we have done that. After making changes to the branch, you can add all the files. Okay, wow. So we can add all the files in our repository. So here I am having hello world. So I'm going to add some paragraph. Okay. Just save this. After saving that, you can add that. Okay. The same add command, git add, you can use dot. So if you are having multiple changes, okay, I am having index file here. If I want to add the index file, I can give git add index file. If I have multiple files like index.html and blocks.html, about.html, likewise, I'm having multiple files. I want to add everything into my stage. So what I can do is I can use git add dot. It will add all the files. Okay. After that, you can commit. Git commit -m branch. Okay. So one file change, one insertion. So now check for the git status. It will show you on branch name, nothing to commit, working tree clean. We have already committed that. So it says nothing to commit now. Okay, are you able to understand till now? Do you have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So now let me show you in our GitHub page. first repo. So here you can see one branch. The branch we have created. Okay. So we have created one branch there. So it shows one branch. Okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to merge that with our master branch. Okay, we have made some changes. I think we can merge that with my master branch. So how can we change from branch name to master? Can you tell me the comment? Which command we can use to change from one branch to another branch?
Checkout.
Checkout, good. So git checkout. Okay, now we are changing to master. Okay, so it has come to master. So when we have come to the master branch, we can merge our existing branches. Okay, so git merge. Okay, git merge which branch we are going to merge it with our master. That branch name you have to give there. Okay. Press enter. Okay. Now let's open here. Refresh. We are having master. We are having one branch here. So open the index file. Okay, we are having the file here. Now what we have to do is we have to delete the branch. Okay, I have merged that branch with my master branch. What I want to do is I want to delete that branch. Okay, for the git branch hyphen d branch name. Okay, press enter. Then now what we have to do is we have to push everything to our master branch. Okay, I mean to our GitHub git push hyphen u origin master. Now when you refresh this, you can see hello world, hello everyone, how are you all? The changes we have made have come to our repository. Okay. Are you able to understand this? Do you have any doubts?
Ma'am, now it will change in our folder also,
Yeah. See,
like in our files.
before pushing that, we have only had the hello world. Okay. After
Okay.
pushing that, the changes we have made has been changed here also. Okay, this is how our branch works.
In our system folder also it will change, right?
You mean to say in your desktop or in your
Yeah.
system?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So
Yeah.
whatever you change there, you should, if you are going to push it, unless and until you don't push it, it will not change here. But you can always change it there directly, or directly when you're changing it here directly on the GitHub, you will have to do a pull request. When you are doing changes there and then you're going to push it, you're going to push it there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think she lost her connection. That's fine. So here the idea is like when you're talking about any time, when you're talking about using Git, right, or PowerShell here on your system, and then if you're going to use GitHub. Now GitHub is more like your storing space, right, where it's like your cloud. What you're doing is you're just whatever files you have it in your system, you're safely putting it into the the cloud, so that anytime, like if your system crashes, or if your system does not have the required setup, what will happen is it will right. I mean, if your system crashes, you have to go to GitHub, right? And you can just clone all the documents and bring it back to your system. So it's like safely kept there, and whatever changes that you have done or whatever changes somebody has done, it keeps a track. Like for example, if I visit your your repository and I make some changes, if I'm authorized to do that, I'll make some changes. It will tell that, okay, Kishore made these changes. And if you say, right, okay, every time somebody makes any change, tell me, and only if I approve, right, add those changes. So it will tell Spandana, why don't you, right, Kishore has made some changes, right, tell whether should we approve it or should we not. So when you approve it, it will make the changes there. So within your system, you can always make any changes that you want, right? Unless you push it, it will not reflect into your GitHub page. Same way, you can make changes there. Unless you pull it, it will not make changes into your system here. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So like
Yes.
this,
Yeah.
basically like if I and Spandana are authorized to both of our repositories, making some changes on my computer, right? And once I've pushed it, right, it will make the changes on the GitHub file.
Correct.
Right. Unless and until Spandana pulls it, that change will not be done on her computer desktop file.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Fine.
It will, the changes will reflect there onto the GitHub page,
Yeah.
and it will reflect as like pending authorization kind of.
Yeah.
So if it is if she is the owner, same way, if you are the owner, if she does the changes, it will. So what happens is whenever you're collaborating with team, so multiple people will have multiple changes to it, right? They will try to change this, they will try to add codes, they will try to delete codes, all those things. There will be some things that would work, some things, because a lot of people are doing the same job, right? So they are working on the same project. So in that case, what happens is, right, how would you keep a track of which version is good, which version is bad? So Git, what it does is, it's a version, as right, Bhuvaneshwari madam mentioned earlier, it's a version control system. So in that case, what happens is every time there is a change, right, it will save every change, and you can revisit the earlier changes, and at the same time you would be able to, right, add your new changes to your system. So it's actually a tracking system. So every version you are making, it's like if I want to make changes into a PowerPoint, I'll give you a simple example. Right now, what happens is every time I make changes, I rename the folder, or I rename the file, a PowerPoint presentation. I've renamed it. So version 1, version 2, version 3, I keep on adding every time I make some changes. Now, in that case, what happens is only thing I'll have in my file folder is multiple PPTs with almost a similar information. Correct. Now here what happens is all these changes will be into a single file. All right. But then it will all track what are the changes that you have made, and it will tell you, okay, tell me which version you want to use now. So accordingly, you will be able to use and add and work in a collaborative fashion. Okay.
Yes, I got it.
Yes.
Yes.